Let's talk about 3 signs your child is avoiding new foods due to anxiety. Number 1, ask yourself, no matter what the age of the child, is that child's response out of proportion to the situation? Now, most of the kids that come to me for feeding therapy absolutely are having these responses that are out of proportion to the situation. They're absolutely anxious about interacting with a new food or, gosh, even having a new food on their plate. And oh my goodness, definitely not eating a new food. However, that level of anxiety is to be expected. What my new course is going to really examine is, when does it become an anxiety disorder? And at what point do we have to seek out other professionals? But tonight we're going to talk about 3 signs that your child is avoiding new foods due to anxiety. Keep in mind that we all have anxiety, okay? It's a good thing. It's meant to protect us and keep us safe. But it does come into play when it comes to picky, hesitant, or selective eating. Think about whether your child has meltdowns over new foods on their plate. Are they sobbing because their food's touching? Are they having angry outbursts or just a really strong protest because you aren't following their rules around food? You know these kids, yeah. 2, are there rigid behaviors about food, like the sandwiches have to be cut in just the right shape and the crust has to be cut off and don't leave any crust there? Or how about chicken? The chicken, if it's on the grill, has to have just the right grill marks or it can't have any brown spots at all. Is their reaction to situations like that out of proportion for the actual situation? And then number 3, does your child avoid certain social situations, restaurants, or events where they won't have their preferred foods? In summary, ask yourself, is this resulting in functional impairment and leading to unnecessary avoidance? Unnecessary avoidance. That's the key we want to pay attention to. It's the avoidance that feeds the anxiety. There are also really subtle signs of anxiety. We've been talking about meltdowns and outbursts, etc. But there are subtle signs that you can watch for, and although we can't list everyone right now, I want to just give you a few to think about. Especially my 10-year-old sets, that the kids who have avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, highly restrictive and want to avoid a lot of social situations, or they want to avoid exploring new foods at all. When I talk to them about why this is, I get a lot of, I don't know, I just don't like it. Well, a lot of times kids actually have a lot of anxiety and all they know is that they feel uncomfortable, that it doesn't feel familiar, but they don't necessarily have the words to express it. So they often will appear sort of disinterested or, as I said, lots of, I don't know, kind of distracted, right? Well, that's because those kids don't always want to get better, and at first. And the reason why is by sticking with their familiar foods, that's their safe place. When they learn to control the food environments like the kitchen, going out to dinner, or we only go to this restaurant, otherwise we'll have a meltdown, that kind of thing. When they learn to control all those aspects of family life, it helps keep their anxiety down. But the problem is, as this special guest in my new video course will tell you, that anxiety will grow wherever you allow it to grow, and it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's why I wanted to have this chat with you today, because I really wanted to talk a lot about the fact that sometimes a little bit of anxiety is a good thing, but it can get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it can become an anxiety disorder.